What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another reaction video. We got Meet the Smartest Player in NFL history. Let's check this out.
Luke Kuechly was a
Luke
football
Kuechly.
genius. He was so good at reading offenses that he'd be in the backfield.
I feel like he could have played for like 3 more years at least, bro.
Damn,
Damn,
be right
3 or 4
with
more years.
adjusting his defense to perfection. Opponents were amazed and frustrated.
When is my boy getting inducted to the Hall of Fame though?
At the line. But how did he become the smartest linebacker the NFL has ever seen? And why did he leave the game in the prime of his career?
Facts. I mean, shit, when you play for the Panthers, that'll do it to you. I ain't gonna lie.
Starting when Kuechly was just a kid, he always understood the game.
But the Panthers were like somewhat competitive around that time.
Athleticism, he made up for
especially with Cam Newton at quarterback.
When he got to high school at St. Xavier in Cincinnati, Ohio, he helped make them a powerhouse. His coach, local legend Steve Specht, introduced Kuechly to the foundation of the mental game, film study, and the youngster was a quick learner. According to Specht, Luke understood every position on the field and was always a step ahead of everyone else. So Kuechly was an all-everything player. As a junior, leading St. Xavier to a 15-0 record and a state title. Then, as a senior, establishing himself among the best high school linebackers in the country. But as college approached, his recruiting stock was low. You see, Kuechly was only 200 pounds soaking wet, and he wasn't yet the thumper we knew him as in the NFL. And because of that, he was rated as just a 3-star recruit, and the number 44 outside linebacker prospect in the class of 2009. But there was some interest, and Kuechly's choice came down to 4 academic powers: Stanford, Duke, Virginia, and Boston College. He eventually went to BC.
He won't go into Virginia, I'll tell you that, nigga.
Similar to St. Xavier, and a pipeline
he was that going to Virginia
before Luke, so it just made sense. But he still had to go out and prove himself. He said that early on, he got his teeth kicked in by his grown man teammates.
I went in there, I was 18 years old, playing against guys that are 22, 23. You get your teeth kicked in and you figure out how bad you want to do it.
Fortunately, while that was happening, he was being schooled on how to play the college game by a great tutor. Wes Davis was a defensive back at BC, and he sat with Kuechly in the film room for hours on end and showed him how to break down an opponent. And in almost no time, Kuechly's powers of observation were superhuman. Armed with that mental edge, he became a playmaker from his outside linebacker position. And as a freshman, he was named the ACC's Defensive Rookie of the Year. In his sophomore year, BC had a hole at inside linebacker, and the coaches believed that Kuechly could fill it. Now, Luke wasn't so sure, but he wanted to keep playing, so he committed to learning the position.
So this is where it started.
He became a tackling.
I ain't know he was he used to be outside linebacker.
Kuechly set program records for career tackles with 532
and
single-season tackles in his junior year with 191. And after his junior master class of a season, Kuechly was ready to pursue a PhD in football by playing in the NFL. And talent evaluators loved what he brought to the table. According to the league's
nobody couldn't stop staring at that nigga.
One of the most instinctual and technically sound linebackers to come out of the draft in years. He had all the tools to be an immediate starter in the NFL and shore up the entire defense. But during his time at BC, he didn't make a ton of plays at the line of scrimmage. So there was some concern. Could he be physical enough to survive in the pros? And it was just a matter of time before they found out.
The Carolina Panthers select Luke Kuechly, linebacker, Boston College.
The Panthers
nigga, were they booing?
Kuechly, linebacker, Boston.
Panthers fans, bro, this is exactly why y'all suck ass now, gang.
Carolina Panthers select Luke Kuechly.
Little did they know that was gonna be a future first ballot Hall of Famer game.
The Panthers head coach at the time was Ron Rivera, and Rivera knew NFL defense. He was a linebacker for one of the greatest.
Not usually that this nigga hit on his draft picks, bro.
Bears, and before being
Commanders fans
Panthers,
hate that
he was
nigga.
a defensive coordinator for the Bears and the San Diego Chargers. And now he had Luke Kuechly, who he could mold into the quarterback of the Carolina defense. But Luke didn't take on that role right away. The Panthers already had a tremendous middle linebacker, John Beeson. So after the draft, they moved Kuechly back to the outside. And just as he did in college, Kuechly learned the pro game from older teammates. Guys like Beeson, outside backer Thomas Davis, tight end Greg Olson, and DB Captain Munnerlyn. But even they couldn't prepare Luke for the career-defining moment that came next. After week 4, Beeson went to the sideline with a knee injury, and 2 weeks later he underwent season-ending surgery. And just like that, Kuechly was put into an extremely difficult spot. He was tapped in to fill Beeson's role as the center of the defense. That's a lot for anyone, much less a 21-year-old rookie, but he handled it like a seasoned pro. He basically lived in the film room, and when Sundays rolled around, he was an absolute playmaker. Playing in all 16 games as a rookie, Kuechly led the NFL with 164 tackles. He also intercepted 2 passes. And with him as the anchor, the Panthers' defense improved. In 2012, Carolina went from 27th in the league in scoring defense to 18th. After the season, Kuechly was voted NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year over another talented linebacker, Bobby Wagner.
Oh, shit.
But would Kuechly be just a...
Damn, so they were rookies together? That's kind of crazy because, like, Bobby Wagner's still playing to this day. Damn, bro.
He didn't have the athleticism.
I would have seen it would have seemed like Bobby Wagner was like in the league like way before Luke Kuechly.
Was an emphatic
I don't know.
No. In Kuechly's second year, he took his game to the highest level. Once again, starting in all 16 games in 2013, Luke recorded 156 tackles and snagged 4 interceptions. With him calling the shots, the Panthers allowed the second fewest points in the league. And on the back of their elite defense, Carolina finished the season 12-4. Winning the NFC South for the first time in 5 years. Kuechly made himself impossible for award voters to ignore, as he was named first-team All-Pro and NFL's Defensive Player of the Year. After just 2 seasons, Kuechly was already a star. Inside the Panthers facility, he was the defense's North Star, and he relentlessly put in the work to be great. During the week, Kuechly would regularly log 12-hour days, with the last 2 to 3 hours devoted to film study. He needed intel on what the other team was going to do on game day.
I wasn't a good enough athlete to just go out there and like play. Like I needed to have an advantage and I needed to have a feel for what was going on.
Hall of Fame coach Tony Dungy once compared Kuechly's preparation to that of Peyton Manning, the ultimate film study guy.
Great comparison.
Dungy said Kuechly was one step ahead of everyone else.
A guy that is totally prepared, that is going to know what's going to happen before it takes place because he has studied so much.
And once Luke knew the play, he was ready to pounce as soon as the ball was snapped. Davis saw it firsthand.
You will see a lot of times teams come out in certain formations, and as soon as the ball is snapped, Luke run right to the play.
But some of his teammates didn't always appreciate his detective skills. Olsen, for one, hated going up against Kuechly in practice.
You couldn't practice.
That's what I was hella confused at first.
Every play that you were going to run.
Olsen claimed the Panthers' offensive assistants would ask Rivera to take Kuechly off the field before they practiced a trick play.
Wow.
Just so he wouldn't blow it up. And the work he put in the film
I feel like that I heard that before about another player as well.
2014 was another elite season for Kuechly as he led the league in tackles and was named first-team All-Pro for the second time in 3 seasons. But despite Luke establishing himself as the NFL's premier linebacker and the Panthers having a top defense, they were still missing the postseason success. They'd won their division 2 seasons in a row now, but couldn't make it past the divisional round. Then, in 2015, everything changed. The Panthers were
Newton
peaking
and
as
them
a team.
boys.
On offense, Cam Newton
That was
had
the
an
year they
MVP
should have won a bowl,
and
bro.
on
But
defense,
Cam
Luke
Newton
Kuechly
decided
was
not
his
to go for the
best
fucking
ever.
football in the
Thanksgiving
Super
Day,
Bowl. Like,
his football
gang,
genius was on full display.
that
for a
really
national
changed everything.
audience against the Cowboys.
Niggas, like
Late in
you
the
too
second
damn
quarter,
big
the
to be
Panthers
scared
had
to
a
go
blitz
after the
call,
ball, bro.
But Thomas Davis showed it too early. Cowboys QB Tony Romo responded by calling an audible. Kuechly countered that by changing the defense. Then came one of the signature plays of his career. As Romo dropped back to pass, Kuechly ran with tight end Jason Witten down the middle. Then, anticipating where Romo was going with the ball, he broke off the coverage and took an interception to the house.
Wow.
Right down the hash, and I'm like, he's not.
What would y'all rank Luke Kuechly as like an all-time linebacker, bro?
That guy ran a sit, and I was like, I'm just gonna jump. I'm gonna jump the dig and hope they run a dig.
Gotta be like, it's gotta be like
Romo
top
on the
3.
Cowboys' next
Obviously,
season,
Ray
too,
Lewis is
showing
number 1.
America what
Nobody's
Panthers
better than Ray
fans had
Lewis.
seen his
Keep it
entire
buck, but
career.
Luke
A
Kuechly
player
might be like
capable of
2 or
outsmarting
3.
even veteran
Whether
quarterbacks.
like it depends on where you
Panthers
put
were
like
a
Patrick
juggernaut
Willis
that
and
season,
Brian
finishing the
Urlacher.
year
You know what I'm
15-1
saying?
as the best team in the NFL. On top of that, they finally had success in the playoffs. First, beating the Seahawks in the divisional round, a game where Kuechly had 11 tackles and a pick 6. Then in the NFC Championship against the Arizona Cardinals, Kuechly stole the show once again, this time with 8 tackles, a fumble recovery, and yet another pick 6, en route to a
Back-to-back pick
49-15
sixes?
blowout. Then the Super Bowl would be a matchup between the 2 greatest brains the NFL has ever seen. Luke Kuechly and the Panthers taking on Peyton Manning and the Denver Broncos. The Panthers defense held Denver to just 194 yards of total offense. But the Broncos defense, led by Super Bowl MVP
Von
Von
Miller.
Miller, was the difference as Denver won 24-10. Kuechly was phenomenal once again, leading the game in tackles and recording a sack. but it wasn't enough. After just 4 seasons in the NFL, Kuechly had been to a Super Bowl, was a first-team All-Pro 3 times, and won 2 major individual awards. Captain America, the name given to him by Cam Newton, looked invincible.
Never a doubt. Never a doubt. As long as we got Captain America, Luke, August Kuechly on our team.
Superman and Captain America, bro.
Something different. In 2015, Kuechly suffered the first concussion of his career. He claimed it was his first concussion ever, and it caused him to miss 3 games. In Week 17 of that year, he also suffered a shoulder injury that required surgery. And then, in 2016, a terrifying on-field incident altered the course of Kuechly's career. In Week 11, against the Saints, Kuechly took on New Orleans running back Tim Hightower. And unfortunately, the crown of Hightower's helmet hit Kuechly squarely in the face mask. The play didn't look all that dangerous, but it left Kuechly sitting on the ground, dazed and confused. As the trainers rushed to check on their star, Kuechly was sobbing uncontrollably. He didn't know why he was crying. He just knew that something was wrong with him.
I remember sitting on the field, and I was like trying to figure out what was going on with me.
As Kuechly was loaded onto the cart, the tears kept flowing, making the scene that much sadder. All around pro football, people were heartbroken
What
as
happened?
they watched, fearing that this could be the end for one of the game's brightest stars. Doctors diagnosed Kuechly with a grade 3 concussion, the most severe. He missed the final 6 games.
That's what I'm
of the
saying, bro.
2016
Injuries be fucking up players, like the best players' careers, man. Damn, man. Cause like realistically, he was just in his prime, bro. Like he could have definitely been playing like 4 or 5 more years, bro. Real shit. Damn.
While he was kept in the NFL's concussion protocol. Luke was so good to start the season that he was still named a second-team All-Pro, but that was now 2 major head injuries in as many seasons. How much longer could Kuechly play? In 2017, he was back on the field for Week 1, and over the next 3 years, he looked like the old Luke Kuechly. Each season, his tackle total increased, and he was an All-Pro all 3 years, twice being named to the first team. Kuechly was the definition of an Ironman, playing 48 out of a possible 49 games, including the playoffs. But that one missed game in the 2017 season was due to another concussion. He was up to 3 in 3 seasons. UNC professor Dr. Kevin Guskowitz,
So now it makes sense why he retired
conducted
early.
extensive research on brain injuries, told Sports Illustrated that the 3rd concussion increased the risk of long-term damage. Kuechly also suffered another shoulder injury in 2017 that required surgery. In 2018 and 19, he got through the season unscathed. But as the 19 season was ending, the battered superstar came to the conclusion that he couldn't go on. The injuries had taken too much out of him, and he couldn't accept playing at 70% of what he was at his peak. It felt unfair to his teammates, so he made a painful decision. In January of 2020, after 8 spectacular seasons, Luke...
That was 2020? I don't know why it seemed like he retired like 10 years ago, bro.
From the NFL
Because 2020 don't seem that long ago. It was only like 5 years ago.
Is to play fast and play physical and play strong.
Wow.
At this point, I don't know if I'm able to do that anymore.
Ultimately, his greatest asset his entire career was his brain. And now it was time to protect it before
He looked like
it was
TJ
too
Watt
late.
right here in this
And I just
picture.
wanted to make sure that I could live the life I wanted to live when I got done playing.
But just because he was done playing didn't mean he was leaving football entirely. In 2020, the Panthers hired him to be a scout. It seemed like an ideal role. He could keep watching tape and studying other players. But Kuechly only did it for a year. It just wasn't for him. Then came an opportunity that took him full circle, teaching ball to a new generation of players. He became an assistant coach for a middle school football team in Charlotte, alongside former teammates Greg Olson and Jonathan Stewart. Then, in 2022, Kuechly rejoined the Panthers organization, but in an entirely different capacity. This one allowed him to make fans smarter. He was hired as a part-time color commentator on the team's radio broadcasts. From the booth, he could diagnose plays in real time and impart his vast football wisdom. Then, in January 2025, as he finished his 3rd season behind the mic, he was named as a finalist for the Pro Football Hall of Fame in his 1st year of eligibility. And while he wasn't made a Hall of Famer this time around, there's no doubt that his resume is worthy of a bust in Canton. He was an All-Pro in every season of his career except for his first, when he won Defensive Rookie of the Year. He was a Defensive Player of the Year, and perhaps his greatest accomplishment is that he's unanimously known as the smartest defensive player to ever lace him up. If you enjoyed this video, stick with Blitz.
Hey,
Subscribe,
man.
and check out some of our other content right here.
Just imagine if all those concussions and shit didn't pile up on him. He probably would have still been playing to this day. You know what I'm saying? Because Bobby Wagner's still playing. He's coming off a great season. Damn, bro. I ain't gonna lie, bro. I would kill to see Luke Kuechly play at least one more season in the NFL, man. But everything happens for a reason. You know what I'm saying? I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. Y'all let me know what other NFL videos I'm to react to. Without further ado, I'm out.
I'ma make them feel me, make them people when they chow me. And if you don't know me, I'ma make sure that you know me. I hate to say it, but I really think I'm broke. But I know I'm chosen, I really know I'm chosen. I know I'm chosen. I was just lost a year ago, but now I'm focused. When good at sports, this microphone can be my trophy. Not taking drugs, I found a better way of coping.